to speak with everyone today. I was asked by some folks at CCFM to provide a presentation. I'm not affiliated with CCFM, the Canadian Council of Forest Ministers, but they thought that maybe I would be able to provide some information to you all here. There was a video playing when we were all sort of getting settled here, and it was about 45% of my presentation, so I will try and add a little bit more value than that. But it's split into two categories. Really wanted to provide a little bit of an overview on Canada's forest products sector, how we manage forests, the certification schemes that are in Canada, and how that reflects on how we source fiber in Canada. And then I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Canadian innovation ecosystem. Ignacio, you talked a lot in your opening remarks about collaboration. And it's one thing that we're starting to sort of build a little bit more as we sort of enter this new bioeconomy revolution here in Canada and globally. So those are the two main themes. And then I'm going to focus a little bit more on the work that we do at the Center for Research and Innovation in the Bioeconomy, also known as CRIBE. I know it's kind of a mouthful. So Canada's forests, we have a lot of them. They're sustainably managed across the country. Little tagline here, they're rich with opportunity. We have a tremendous amount of fiber resources in this country. We have 9% of the world's forests in Canada. However, we're sort of unique in the sense that 94% of these are publicly owned. And what that means is they're managed by either the federal governments or the provincial governments. And there's a system of tenure and industrial commitments that lead to a management system which provides public benefits and also allows for industry to participate in utilization of those resources. So we also have a little tagline here. It just says Canada has more certified forests than any other country. I think this is a really interesting piece of information. We have 37% of the world's third-party certified forests. And third-party certification I'll get into a little bit later, but it's really an interesting piece where you're audited. There's a management direction that's also audited. Public engagement is audited. Generally, it leads to, on a coffee cup, you see the little FSC certification stamp or the SFI certification stamp, and consumers and industry benefits from that as a program. Digging down a little bit deeper, just to give a little bit of an overview on sustainable forest management. So there's a kind of wordy definition there, but essentially sustainable forest management, or SFM, maintains and enhances the long-term health of forest ecosystems. So we do have two levels of hierarchy for regulations in this space. So there's the federal regulations, of which there are around 8 that we have to be cognizant of when we're managing forests in Canada. And then depending on the province, there's anywhere from 8 regulations and up to 25 different sets of policies and frameworks that a company or a land manager would have to follow. And again, these aren't necessarily relevant to private forest land, but it's just something that fits in nicely with third-party certification. One of the things that we definitely do well in Canada, and again, I feel like I'm repeating the video that was playing here, so bear with me. But science drives this policy. It's about high environmental standards. We do try and provide public input on all forest management planning in this country. It varies in mechanism from province to province, but then governments approve those plans through a regulatory framework. Companies are held accountable. I can give an example here in Ontario. There's several levels of auditing. So there's regulatory audits that come into play for just the government to say, yes, you did your job, rubber stamp, keep doing what you're doing. But there's also the third-party certification systems, which provide a little bit of a check and balance on the way we manage forests in Canada. Just want to point out that we talk a lot about reforestation and good forest management, and that goes hand in hand. So by regulation and policy, all harvested areas in Canada, so whenever we cut down a tree for fiber resources in Canada, it must be regenerated within a specific time frame. That, granted, those silvicultural practices vary from province to province. I'll repeat that again. But generally, we we do this through tree planting or also variations on natural regeneration. We do this in order to maintain species diversity. We very much focus on having, maintaining the natural ecosystem that was there. So we're not taking and managing forests and providing a whole new regeneration or species composition post-harvest. Just want another nice KPI there. We plant an average of 600 million seedlings per year, which I think is a tremendous endeavor, and also probably provides a lot of visits to chiropractors from all the tree planters going like this. So Canada's forests, again, you can see the map of Canada. We have a tremendous amount of land area. There's a whole load of different forest compositions, but generally we have quite a bit of boreal forest. Just again, some key facts picked from some CCFM literature. We've got rigorous legislative processes. It's pretty self-evident. And all of the forest certification programs are recognized by companies and governments around the world, FSC, SFI, and CSA. And also, just again, we have a very stringent regulatory regime for these practices. Why does that matter? We talk a lot about Canada's bioeconomy and how that intersects with the forest products sector. And I think, I've got a smattering of links here and organizations here that provide some direction on bioeconomic developments in Canada. These are not inclusive of everybody, so if your name is missing and you're somebody in the room, please don't throw anything at me or come at me at a coffee break. We've got a number of pan-Canadian organizations, and then there's a lot of province-specific organizations that help provide direction for bioeconomic developments in Canada. And when I say the bioeconomy in Canada, I really want to focus on the forest bioeconomy piece. There's a lot of agricultural interaction with the bioeconomy as well, but given that Canada has such a wealth of forest resources, it only makes sense that we focus fairly heavily on the forest bioeconomy. I'm shifting gears again just to talk about the organization that I work for, which is one of the named bioeconomy accelerators. And I just want to note there that that's a fairly crude map of Ontario. That's maybe not the best cartography, but it's a graphic to show that CRIBE is really focused on Ontario as our sort of main core mandate. So our mission and vision there is really to develop and help promote a sustainable forest bioeconomy in Ontario. We are very much focused on providing economic development and forest-based bioeconomy technologies in Ontario and helping deploy those, whether they be companies from Spain that want to invest in Canada or companies from Spain that want to look to new markets. We're a way to help intersect with that and the forest products sector in Canada. Digging a little deeper here, we're a Kickstarter of innovation. So we're a funding agency that helps provide innovation programming. We essentially invest in de-risking these technologies and de-risking ideas and companies, doing work in Ontario. We're also a facilitator, and that's the work that I do at CRIBE. So I run a network called Next4, which is an initiative to help bring together actors in the bioeconomy, whether they be from Spain, British Columbia, the US, elsewhere. We bring those folks together and we collaborate on bringing these things to market and commercializing these technologies. We're an enabler and accelerator. Again, I touched on that earlier. We're a funding agency really intended on commercialization. We're not interested in sort of lower TRL or research and development activities. We're very much focused on bringing things out of the valley of death and into the market space. We have a tremendous amount of manufacturing capacity in many advanced material markets here in Ontario, and Eugenie, on your slides there, you focused in on wood building materials, biochar, biocomposites. These are all things that the Ontario market and the Canadian market are being produced in this province and are an opportunity for us to intersect with those traditional sectors. Just a couple more KPIs, because apparently I like putting up numbers today. Since 2009, we've deployed $29 million in funding. If you'll remember the previous slide, we usually leverage that about 4 to 1. We've done that through about 30 projects and focused in Ontario, but we often do work with international or pan-Canadian consortiums. In the case of Next4, we've held 31 as of last month innovation forums where we bring people together and we essentially roadmap out these ideas, challenges, collaborative aspects that need to occur to commercialize these technologies. Generally, what that leads to is a very targeted pot of money that will be used to enhance programming for commercialization of a specific technology. And I'll get to that in 1 second. In this network, we've got over 500 individuals engaged, representing over 290 companies. So if you're a smaller company or even a larger company, you're welcome to participate. There's a wealth of road mapping materials and other resources that you may find interesting. This is sort of a graphic to help describe the opportunity here. One of the things that we do, I mentioned very well in Canada, is we do traditional forest products very well. There's that old joke that we're, sort of the hewers of wood and the drawers of water. We're really good at making dimensional lumber, pulp, etc. And we're also getting pretty good at making some advanced technologies as well. So using lignin, using the hemicellulose in novel ways, using cellulose and providing added value rather than just making pulp and paper, or in addition to pulp and paper, because those are still important economic drivers. What does that mean in the context of the world today? Here's a render of a mass timber building in Kitchener, I believe, which is a town in Ontario, for those who don't know. This is a mass timber building that contains CLT and glulam structures. And what we're envisioning, and these are all projects that have been funded by CRIBE, is a future where the forest products can intersect with the asphalt that's in the parking lot, using lignin to replace bitumen, using biofuels to power the transportation vehicles that take you to and from that built environment, using plastics and packaging with cellulose and other materials, bioenergy and heating. Eugenie, you talked a little bit about bioenergy and biochar as well in your presentation. There's another collaborative idea. Flexible foam and rigid foam applications. There's really advanced materials that can be made with forest products. And our belief is that there's room for pretty much everyone to play in this space. There's room for collaboration here. There's room for some market sharing, and there's room for investment and trade. I'm just going to close off. This is my last slide. I know I'm short on time, but I just wanted to highlight the Next4 network one more time. We've got 4 key focus areas right now. So if you're interested in composites and biomaterials, advanced materials, lignin research, using lignin to replace fossil fuel alternatives, biocarbon for heavy industry is an interesting one. It's really focused on utilizing forest materials to help decarbonize the heavy industrial sector. So using biochar and renewable natural gas and other opportunities to help decarbonize some steel industry, mining industry, and other lime, etc. Forest innovation is of interest as well. It's really about Industry 4.0. That's really an opportunity for automation, robotics, etc., to bring that into the market space. So if you're interested in any of these areas, please feel free to contact me or join the network. There's a number of resources available on our website. I'm more than happy to have a conversation about them at any time, which is my last slide. There's my coordinates, and really happy to have a conversation, and really pleased and thank you to have the ability to speak with you all today. So thank you.